Hello, it's your favorite sports Unc here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without you. So please subscribe or you're going to make Ocho cry. Ocho, I told you we were going to have a very, very special guest. The last couple of days since we've been doing the Olympics, we had a couple of Olympians on, current and former. We've had Michael Johnson. We've had Justin Gatlin. We've had Gabby Thomas. We've had Bobby Finks. Now, when it comes to men's skateboarding, there's no one more accomplished than this gentleman that we're about to sit down and have a conversation with now. He's from Davis, California. His name, you talk about world championships, you're talking about X Games. When it comes to men's skateboarding, he is the de facto guy. He has his own Nike skateboarding shoe, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Nyjah Huston. How you doing, Nyjah?
Doing good, boys. Doing good.
So, go ahead, Ocho.
No, I just want to say what's up, man. Listen, you've been a huge inspiration, man, for me. Someone who used to skateboard. There are a few clips out there of me falling and busting my ass. But man, yes, you one of the greats, man, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on.
And I appreciate that. Good to be here. Good to be on here. And man, I love hearing from fellow athletes that you wouldn't expect to have skated before say that they really been on the board before. And
Nyjah, are you back stateside now, or are you still in Paris?
Yeah. I'm over here at my house in Laguna Beach.
Okay. Nyjah, you wrote something on your IG post. You said, damn, the past couple of days have been tough. Since I got home, it's taken everything in me to get out of bed and start living again. I didn't go into Paris with expectation, just wanted to go out there, land some tricks, and enjoy the moment. But after being in position with a good shot at winning and not pulling through, it hurts. In that moment, I wanted to bring home that goal for us so bad, more than anything I've ever wanted in my life. It felt like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I think that's just a part of what really makes it hard to let go of. At times when I feel down and depressed over something like this, I feel that it's wrong. It's wrong because I know I have so much life in me to be happy and thankful for. I'm in good health. I have amazing family and friends who are always there for me. And I get to make a living of doing things that I love most, which is such a huge blessing. You said you were in position. Your first two rounds, flawless. You land some huge tricks. You're in the moment. And at that moment, tell us what's going through your mind. You got one more run to make. You're right now, you're in gold medal position. You just got one round to go. What's going through your mind at that moment? And then the pressure, did you start to tense up? Did you start to feel the pressure?
I mean, I like to say that, I'm sure you guys feel this too, is like anytime someone is very competitive and you care, you're gonna get nervous. You're gonna feel the pressure, you know? That's just a part of caring about what we do and having that passion for what we do. So yeah, I mean, I definitely felt the nerves out there, but I feel like I was handling it pretty well. Qualifiers went smoothly. First run in the finals, I landed my last trick sketchy, which really bummed me out because I got an 87. If I would have landed it clean, I would have got a 90. So the second run, I definitely had the pressure on me, was able to pull through. And then when it comes down to the trick section, I like to say that you go out there with confidence, but you can't ever go out there expecting to land these tricks every single try, because the stuff we're doing is just too technical and too difficult. And like so many things need to go right every time to land them every try. But it was going really good for me. I was in a good spot. I landed my first trick. I landed my second trick, which got a little bit of a low score because I also landed it a little bit sketchy. You could see that my back foot was hanging off the board a little bit.
Okay.
But I still got a 93 for that one. So that was solid. And then that last trick, man, I was going for, it's called a switch heel crooked grind down the hubba. Hubba is a down ledge. And it's a trick that I've been looking forward to trying ever since I saw the design of the course a few weeks prior.
Yes.
The trick I've been practicing a lot lately throughout the past couple of years. And man, I felt really confident going into it. The first one didn't go so well. Second one got a little closer. And then when it got down to the third one, that's when I got bumped down from being in first to second, then to third. And honestly, I think back on it, and when I was dropping in, I got my headphones in. I like listening to house music, so good vibes, got the hype going. I felt good, man. I felt really confident dropping into it. I felt like the energy was right. I didn't feel my legs shaking or anything like that. So it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what goes wrong in those situations to not be able to put down the trick. But man, really, you can't think back on it too hard, or it'll just torture yourself, because, like I said, the stuff we do on the skateboard is so technical that, like, it could be your foot being in a slight wrong position, leaning back a little too much, going a little too fast, going a little too slow. There's a lot of things that come into play there. And I feel like that's something about skateboarding that's really, man, it's frustrating, because I feel like what you guys do in football, it's like you make, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you make a wrong play or a wrong move, and you kind of know what you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
When it comes
absolutely.
to skateboarding, man, it's so frustrating, because as you just play it back in your head, you're like, damn, what went wrong? What could I have done differently? But when it comes down to it, man, it's hard stuff we're doing out there, and it's not easy to land those tricks every try.
Yeah. When you look back on things, right? We understand all that you've accomplished. Your resume, it speaks volumes. It speaks for itself. But I want to go back to where it all started. Obviously, you had a unique upbringing, a Rastafarian lifestyle. How did that shape your perspective on life and choosing the skateboard?
So yeah, my dad got me into skateboarding at a very young age. Even before I was like standing on my feet on a board, I was like pushing around on my knees when I was like 3, 4 years old. I have three brothers and one sister, and I'm the middle. We're all 2 years apart, so we all grew up skating together as a family, and we were always really close as a family. So we really just did everything together. Spent a lot of time outside in nature. Lived in Fiji from the years I was 2 to 4. So that was an interesting experience, and some of my earliest memories are from there. But then when we moved back to California, that's when I really started falling in love with skateboarding. And ever since I can remember those first sessions, like it was just instant love. Like that's all I ever wanted to do.
That's dope.
You said you started at 10. I read where you started skateboarding at 10, but you knew you were really good at 7.
I started when I was 5.
You started, so you actually started at 5.
Yeah.
Knew you were good at 7. When did you go into your first competition? How old were you entered your first competition?
So I actually skated some like little beginner contests, local contest series when I was like end of 6, 7.
Wow.
I dominated all these other kids. Like, I swear I was undefeated in this little mini contest series called Castle back in the day. And then, bro, somehow by the time I was 10 years old, I won the biggest amateur contest called Tampa Am.
Wow.
And then that's why the next year when I was 11, I skated my first X Games, because I had already won the amateur contest somehow that young.
Your dad built you a park in your backyard.
Yep.
You're getting really, really good. And abruptly, he moved the family to Puerto Rico. Did he give a reason why you guys moved to Puerto Rico when your career is just starting to flourish?
Yeah, man, it was such an interesting move, and it was really confusing at the time, because my dad was someone that was he's hard to talk to about things like that, kind of hard to really conversate with. It was just kind of like his way, and you just kind of went along with it. But I would say the main reason why is, being raised Rasta. I don't know if you guys know too much about that lifestyle, but they really like to live outside of normal life and normal society. I never went to normal school when I was a kid. We were raised vegan. I didn't grow up watching normal TV shows and movies and stuff, because I feel like that's a big part of that lifestyle, just kind of staying secluded from the kind of normal life and negativity that they see it out there. But honestly, I'm thankful for being raised Rasta, because I think it helped me become the person I am today. I think it was a very healthy way of growing up. But yeah, that move to Puerto Rico was definitely rough throughout those years. I was about 11 to 14. And a couple of those years, bro, I was out there. Like, it's funny because when I tell people this story and say that I lived in Puerto Rico, they're probably thinking I was, chilling on the beach, maybe skate park on the beach,
yes,
spots every now and then. No, that's not what it was. I was out in the jungle, an hour away from any civilization.
Wow.
Shout out my dad. He still made it happen and built me some skate stuff on this farm we lived on. But man, we were really out there.
Man, that's crazy. Listen, at such a young age, right? Like when you think about the Olympics, and you talk about the pressures it takes to go out there and perform and be successful when it's time to hit those tricks and get those scores. At such a young age, did you feel the pressure since you started competing so young, or when you were younger, was it more just fun?
I've always been competitive, man. Always. Ever since I was so young, and I feel like that's a big reason why I got to the point that I'm at. But after those big amateur wins I got, skated my first pro contest when I was 11, and it wasn't just smooth sailing though. It was like I was out there with the big guys now. Everyone's twice my age, twice my size, so it was a mixture of being like super stoked as this little kid skating with everyone we grew up watching and looked up to. But also it's just intimidating because like I'm out there like trying to get my hits in, and like it's kind of scary because like in practice everyone's skating the course at the same time. If someone runs into you or something, like I'm gonna be getting bodied.
Right. Go ahead, Nyjah. Finish your thought.
But yeah, it wasn't smooth sailing. I actually had a few years until I was 15 where I got like a ton of second places. Like even I think it was my first big pro contest ever. I got second place to Ryan Sheckler. That one didn't hurt too bad because it was my first one, but then it went on. It was like second place all the time. And then I finally got my first big win. It was Street League, Arizona. It was the first Street League ever in 2010. And that was like the moment where I was like, all right, like the hard work is really paying off and it's only up from here.
But Nyjah, when I look at skateboarding, like a lot of time we were talking about what Ocho and I did compared to what you did, being an athlete, and you know exactly when you do something wrong. A lot of times we still plays, but in skateboarding, it's a lot of trial and error. You go out there on the ramp and you in your backyard or you at the park and you're trying things, and then when you show up at these shows, you hope that you can make it because if we get an opportunity, if that play doesn't succeed, we got a whole bunch of other plays. Normally, if your run doesn't go well, there's a great chance you're not going to win the gold medal in that situation. You're going to probably get silver. You might even get bronze. You might not even podium. So how do you deal with like, I know this, I've worked on this so much, I know I can land this trick? Yeah,
I mean, when it comes to a guy like myself, I do have a lot of options of different tricks to try out there. And it's good to be prepared because if you're in a situation like that, and let's say a trick isn't working out, then you can try a different one. But when it came down to that last trick at the Olympics in Paris, I wouldn't have switched it up because that was the trick that I was most confident with, even though I did have a couple other ones I could try that would have been a similar score. But yeah, I mean, it's really just about trying the tricks that you're most confident with and to work the best on the obstacles that are there, because a lot of the times the stuff we're skating is similar to the other contests we've skated in the past, but it's always different a little bit. It's never going to be the exact same. So it's like it might be a stair or two bigger or smaller. The ledge might be a little bit higher or steeper, and all that stuff makes a difference with the tricks you're doing.
Is there a certain trick? So let's say like the video game, you play the video game Madden, right? And you put it on all Madden. That's the highest difficulty. What would be the trick that is the most difficult to do that not very many people can do it?
Man, there's so many, bro. But I guess we got to shout out the gold medalist Yuto out there in Paris, because the trick that he did, the last trick, which took him 4 tries to land, but he made it happen on his last attempt. Right. It was a nollie, backside 270, blunt slide down the rail. And like first, he's the only one that's ever done that trick before.
Wow.
In competition at that.
I mean, I don't even think I've ever seen anyone do it outside of competition. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the coolest parts about skateboarding is everyone has their own style. Everyone has their own tricks. I got a few tricks that I do that you rarely see anyone do out there. Yuto's got a bunch, and it's really about, bringing your own style and creativity to the sport.
Right. But how do you, so the question that I really have, because it's about when I read your post, I could tell that you were in a really down place. And you like, I went out there, I just wanted to have a little fun. And then once I got in position, I'm like, oh, I could win this thing. And then it doesn't go according to the way you had hoped it to go. So how do you bounce back, Nyjah, from a performance like that, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally? How do you come back from something like that?
Yeah. It's I'm happy you're asking that question, because I honestly like talking about it. I feel like a lot of people that feel this way and can get really down on themselves and depressed sometimes, they don't want to speak about it, but I think it definitely helps to be able to express yourself. But yeah, man, it's not easy being in that position. I feel like it's a lot of my friends and people tell me like, oh, you should be happy. You should be happy because you got a medal. You should be happy because of your life and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm proud of myself, but it's not that easy to not follow through in a situation like that you care about so much. And it's not only that I wanted that gold for myself, I wanted it for my country, because that would have been the first gold for skateboarding in the USA. So I think that's the part that really I really care about extra, and why it hurts extra this time. But how do I bounce back from that is really man, just trying to be thankful for the life that I live. Getting a medal is cool and all, but I think it's really about being thankful for living a life that I love, doing what I love for my life, and still being so motivated to still get on my board and have a good time. Because that's the fun part about skateboarding, man, is like it's not always training. Like with you guys, I see, the drills you guys do and the practices you guys have, like you guys are out there working. It's go time, it's training day. With skateboarding, I would say the majority of the time that I'm on my board, I am having a good time and I am having fun. And that's really the beautiful part about it. But yeah, man, just try to pick myself back up. I had a couple rough days there after I got back home, but then got myself out in nature, went on a hike, got some sunshine, hung out with some friends, and just, life goes on, man. Life goes on.
Yeah, most definitely. Man, you're known for your rigorous training. I've seen some of your training routines myself when I tried to attempt to skateboard, but after falling, busting my back open, those days were over. So what is a typical day of not training, a typical day of fun on the board look like for you? Is it you by yourself? Is it you and some friends, skate park, or do you have everything right there at home?
Yeah, it's a mix of both. Obviously, we all love skating with our homies, but I would say I have some of my best practice days when I'm by myself at my skate park. I got my own park in a warehouse over in San Clemente, and go over there a couple times a week, really get the reps in. But yeah, I mean, it's, obviously there's going to be some times where it's like, shit, like I got to do this trick again, even though I've done it so many times. But I'm still enjoying it. I'm not going out there and be like, shit, I got to skate again. I got here goes work again. Like I really am thankful for, being a skateboarder, because I feel like it fits me so well. I feel like I'm meant to be a skateboarder, because it really just, it never gets old, man. There's the nonstop progression is one of my favorite parts. And even after coming third this time in the Olympics, it's already been on my mind the past few days where I'm like, all right, like I'm not over it. Like I'm still trying to compete the next few years. I would love to make it to LA.
It's on home soil in 28.
I know, that's that extra motivation to get there. But yeah, I've already been thinking like, all right, what other tricks can I start practicing and trying to keep up with these younger guys they're gonna be on in the next few years. So it's really just always having that constant progression on the mind.
Nyjah, mental health has been a big talking point with the athletic community. How can we help? How can the athletic community help its competitors, these young skaters? Because as you mentioned, you started out, you were 10, 11 years old, and they're still that same age. Yeah. You've been at this thing almost 2 decades. So what can the community do to help its young and help those that's in there that might be being depressed or might be dealing with something? How can they help?
Man, I would say the number one thing is just don't be afraid to speak your mind and tell people how you're feeling, no matter if it's in an interview like this or if it's just talking to your friends and family, because it is so easy, like, to just sit there in bed inside and just keep all those thoughts and feelings to yourself. And that's what I did for a couple of days. Like, when I got home, I had so many friends that were calling me and stuff. I didn't answer a single phone call for a couple of days, just because I just, it takes a lot to be able to talk about that. And sometimes you do need a little time to sit there and, be to yourself. But I think really just, not being afraid to talk about it, and just, knowing that there are good things to come, as long as you keep.
And that you're not alone.
What's that?
And you're not alone. That you know that you have people in your corner, that you have a support system that believe in you, that support you, and that people that love Nyjah Huston.
Of course, yeah. And I think that's such an important thing, is having that family and friends there for you. I got a bunch of good friends that are always by my side and will be there if I need them. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure there's so many athletes out there, skateboarders and from all other sports, that feel this way sometimes, because we all want to go out there and do our best. But when it comes down to it, especially when it comes to something like skateboarding, you're not going to have your best day every time. It's just not going to happen. No matter how hard you practice, no matter how many hours you put in, no matter how many times you land the trick, it's just not going to happen every single time. But man, honestly, another thing that I wanted to mention that like kind of stresses me out when I get down on myself like that is like, I'm like, shit, am I feeling this way because I've had so many concussions before? Bro, if you guys have seen some of my falls before, I've had some insane falls. Like, you would think my head would be, destroyed, just split open, but somehow bounce back up and try the trick again.
You've been credited. I was going to say, you've been credited with taking skateboarding from what Tony Hawk started 4 decades ago and making it more mainstream, making it more popular. What was that transition like? Because everybody knows Tony Hawk is the godfather. I mean, if there's a godfather of anything, he's the godfather of skateboarding. Yeah. And you credited with like, okay, it's mainstream now. We see it on television now. We see it's in the Olympics. What more can you ask for? Because it's a global sport now. Yeah. When you hear that, what does that make you feel, Nyjah?
I mean, just being in the same, conversation or compared to it all to a guy like Tony Hawk is a true honor. My first skateboard ever was a Tony Hawk board. I grew up going to some of his demos and being like, oh shit, Tony, like, even though he wasn't a street skater, he was a vert skater, did the big ramp.
Right.
He was such an inspiration, and I guarantee skateboarding would not be where it's at now in the Olympics if it wasn't for Tony Hawk. And yeah, I've heard some people say a similar thing about me, pushing the progression and getting more eyes on street skateboarding.
Absolutely.
Because, man, skateboarding is a special thing, especially when it comes to street skateboarding, because it really is what it's called. It comes from the streets. People first started skateboarding on the sidewalk, cruising around here in Southern California, and then people started flipping the board, and then they started skating little curbs, and then they're jumping down handrails, and then there's contests, and then now it's in the Olympics. So I think that's the most special part about skateboarding is it really is so different from any other sport out there, to the point where it still feels weird for me to call it a sport, because I see it more as a way of life and lifestyle, creativity.
That's dope. Hey, listen, outside of skateboarding, you talked about nature, you talked about being adventurous, going on hikes, to kind of offset some of the, I wouldn't say struggles that skateboarding brings, but do you have any other passions outside of skateboarding that you like to do?
Yeah, for sure. I think being out in nature and, spending time outside really makes me appreciate life and really puts me in a better mood when I'm down on myself like that. So that's something I would definitely advise to anyone feeling that way. Go outside, get some sunlight, Definitely makes you feel better, lift those spirits back up. Aside from skateboarding though, my favorite is riding dirt bikes. That's my favorite.
Dirt bikes.
So
There we
fun,
go.
so fun. That's like the most free feeling thing when you're just on trails hours away with a couple homies just ripping and having a good time. Aside from that, like watching basketball a lot. I love watching what you guys do in football. I was actually just watching the USA basketball game right now. They're out there killing it. So
yeah, they won
90. Now they better be winning.
Yeah, they won 98, 87.
Yeah,
they won the goal. Yeah.
Nice.
Now let me ask you this: what was that moment like when Nike said, "We're going to give you your own shoe"?
It's insane, man. It's such an honor, and there's only been a few skateboarders that have had professional shoes with Nike, so it really is such a special thing. It's P-Rod, it's Costin, it's Janowski. It's only a few guys that have been up there, and it's also just a really cool process. Like, actually, I feel like some people are like, "Oh, you have a pro shoe with Nike, cool," but they don't actually understand how much involvement goes into creating the shoe. And how many meetings we have, going samples, going back and forth. Does this feel right? Does this feel wrong? And really being involved in that process is sick, and then seeing it come to life.
Because you want the shoe to look good aesthetically, but you want it to be functional. Yeah. I mean, you can't have a good shoe that looks good that's not functional, but you don't want a functional shoe that doesn't look good because the people won't buy it. So it has to be both.
It has to be a mix of both. And yeah, skateboard shoes is all about balance, because if you're a skateboarder like me that's jumping down, 20 plus stair handrails, you obviously need a shoe that has good structure and is going to keep your foot safe, keep you from rolling your ankle. But at the same time, the bottom of the shoe can't be like a basketball shoe.
Right.
If the sole is too thick and too stiff, then you can't feel your board under your toe.
Right. Okay. Really
feel connected to your skateboard. So there's a lot of specifics and work that goes into these shoes.
You know what? I heard you were a big flosser. How many times do you floss your teeth a day, and how many times do you brush your teeth a day? Because I brush my teeth on average. I've kind of calmed down. At one time, I was at a high of like 10. I think I'm around 6.
Too much.
I think I'm around 6 or 7
Too
now.
much.
So combination, how many times do you floss, and how many times do you brush your teeth per day?
It's not a crazy amount. I did brush my teeth or floss my teeth last night. It's normally just once a day for the flossing, and
see, like us normal
twice
folks.
a day for the brushing. Bro, you said you 6 times a day?
Yeah.
Yes. No, it was 10. It was 10.
Ocho talked me down from.
He was doing it.
I'm down to 6. I was up to 10. I was going through a tube of toothpaste a week.
Bro, that's crazy. You gotta chill.
Maybe I need to go on one of those nature trails. Maybe I need to get out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Stop it. You know what? I gotta come out there. You're in LA. I'm not in LA often, but I will come. I think it would be great content. We had a few Olympians on, and I think for us in adding a different dynamic to Nightcap is those that we've had on here, me trying to do what they do for their respective crafts and seeing if I succeed. So I have to get out there with you and get on the board with you, and you have to teach me some type of trick, and I cannot leave until I complete it. We got to do that. I don't care how high the ramp is. I don't care what I have to jump down.
Lord.
We just gonna do it. I think it would be great content to add to Nightcap.
That would be sick. Did you used to be able to do any tricks?
No.
Just I can ollie. I can ollie. That's about it. Like the funny thing about it, if you Google Chad Johnson on a skateboard, you will see me busting my ass. Maybe 3 or 4 videos of me trying to do stuff off a ramp and going down. It's bad. It's really bad. It's embarrassing. But listen,
Nyjah,
I feel like I got back.
To be honest, he did no tricks or treating, so he did neither. But I'm anxious to see him get out there and to see him fall, because, like you said, Google Ocho and skateboard, is going to see the same thing, whether it was in 1999, 2005, or 2024, him falling.
Hey, well, if we get you back on the board, no matter if you land a trick or you're eating shit, I'll still respect it. So
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Guys, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I appreciate you sharing your story and the struggle that you was going through of what transpired. You went to have a great time and found yourself in position to win the gold medal. And when things didn't go your way, you were man enough to stand up and say, yeah, man, this thing's tough. It hurts because I was so close. Yeah. And that was the moment that I had dreamed about. And here it is right before me. And I didn't make it happen. And I'm struggling with it, but I'm going to be okay. So thanks for sharing your story with you. Hopefully someone took something from that. They learned that it's okay to face disappointment, but the sunshine follows rain and there's a new day tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for sharing your story, and I greatly appreciate it.
Of course, got to keep it going, man. Keep it rolling. Life goes on, and man, thankful to be alive. Appreciate you guys.
All right, bro. Thank you, man. And good luck the rest of the way. Hey, see you in 28.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
All right, boys.